Is the climate change hoax finally over? This is Dr. David D. Shine for a special Saving America report. Let me start with an important disclaimer. We all need a healthy environment. We need clean air, clean water, and to be protected from harmful substances. I remember participating in the first Earth Day in 1970. I've been an active recycler ever since. I also personally observed the impact of the Environmental Protection Act, the EPA, also passed in 1970. In the 1980s, as a runner, I observed streams springing to life that had been stripped of all wildlife due to pollution. We no longer heard reports of smog in Los Angeles, bad air in Denver and Pittsburgh. However, I also bitterly remember the early hysteria. Here I am, a scholarship student, the oldest of 7 kids, made it into an Ivy League college. I was assigned to read The Population Bomb, published in early 1970, which promised that the world, at 6 billion people, many would then starve to death, especially children. Today we have 8.25 billion people. There is ample food. Now, there's a distribution problem and a governance problem, but not due to lack of food production or the ability to make food. Then the Chicken Littles ran around. Instead of saying the sky is falling, they were saying that global warming would cause the oceans to rise and swamp most of the coastal areas of Earth. When that did not happen, over 20 years of hysteria, the failed politician Al Gore decided to become famous, flying around in his private jet. The term global warming was replaced by simply climate change. The claim of the Chicken Littles was now man-made climate change would wipe out civilization by a particular date. Not a single predicted date has come true. Not even close. Of course, instead of admitting that they are wrong, the crazies keep resetting the doomsday date time after time. Who's promoting this hoax? Not just in the U.S., but the entire developed world. Sometimes referred to as the elites. These folks have caused many countries to act contrary to the welfare of their own citizens. Countries can run out of food if they stop using fertilizer, pesticides, and effective power sources like nuclear and natural gas. A number of European countries shut down power plants, banned modern growing methods, and implemented other changes that caused costs to skyrocket for their own citizens, and yet they made no documented progress on the fake goals that they established for avoiding climate change. A classic example of this self-destructive ideology is the silly labeling of CO2 as a pollutant. Folks, this is carbon dioxide. It is what plants use to grow. One stat I saw the other day that helps to further document this hysteria: the far-left Washington Post laid off 1/3 of its climate change reporters. They kept 12. Really? This is propaganda, not news, which is why the Washington Post has recently garnered so much bad publicity. Relating back to the population bomb, recent studies have shown that most developed countries, especially Japan, but also now including the United States, are not replacing their population. We are actually depopulating. Why do we care? Because in most countries, people are living longer. Who is going to take care of them in retirement? Who will continue to work to generate revenue and produce food for those who have retired? Amazing, isn't it, how in 2 generations the perspective is quite different. What are the origins of the climate change hoax? Well, power-hungry liberal elites, of course. They use the data that they cherry-pick and ignore the big picture. Folks, when I talk about this in a classroom, I draw a line across the whole width of a whiteboard, a whole wall. At the very end of the line, I take a piece of paper and I hold it perpendicular to the wall. The whole line represents the age of the Earth, about 8 billion years. The tiny width of paper represents the recorded weather history of about 150 years. This is simple. No sensible person can take a tiny snippet of weather and project what will happen in the next few decades. Natural forces like the sun, the moon, and volcanoes have far more impact than man. Weather appears to be quite cyclical over long periods of time. There have been ice ages over the last 2 millennia. So while the elites were claiming that there would be this big meltdown impacting the Arctic, suddenly the winter of 25-26 has hit. Some are referring to it as a record in snow event. It's not a real record, it's a recent statistic. This is called weather, not climate change. Sadly, I saw an estimate recently that, unbelievably, the world has flushed $16 trillion down the toilet due to this hoax of climate change. Imagine how those resources might have been allocated for providing food to the needy, developing better medications, curing cancer, and so forth. I believe the USA has started to come to its senses. Hopefully, Europe will wake up soon. In the meantime, the CCP has been building coal-fired electric plants at a mad pace. In the recently discredited Paris Accords, China was given some form of dispensation as a developing country. Did that make any sense? China is competing with the United States to be the largest economy in the world. How could they be flagged under the Paris Accords as a developing nation? Come on, folks, let's get with it. President Trump has done his part to try to control the madness. Many of the Biden-Harris and even Obama-era environmental restrictions have been lifted. My favorite was dumping the car ignition kill switch, finally. This ridiculous device turned off your car at every stoplight and then restarted it. This did not help pollution and certainly did not help gas mileage. A car uses a big blast of energy to start. Similarly, the attack on gas appliances made no sense. Natural gas is both plentiful and clean burning. I hope the world is going to return to sanity soon. Let's stay focused on resolving pollution, which is becoming more of a third world problem. We may not be able to control the weather, but at least we can live in harmony with it. This is Dr. David D. Shine. Thanks for joining me for this special edition of Saving America. Remember, a new Saving America show is aired on the Brushwood Media Network every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Listen on any of the 16 network stations, Apple or Google mobile app, Apple CarPlay, TuneIn, Smart Speaker, and all smart TVs. Find more information at the brushwoodmedianetwork.com. Please be sure to join us each week. We welcome and love your feedback from our growing audience.